Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Boston Tea Party podcast on the All Day Football Show. I'm your host, Jackson Kellogg, and today we'll be getting into episode 8 of the Boston Tea Party podcast. Can't wait. We'll get right into it. So, topics of today, as always, go over my predictions and analysis of the week for whoever the Patriots are playing this week in week 6, already week 6. It is the Denver Broncos, and as always, transactions from the past week. But before we get into anything just yet, the man you see on this screen right here is none other than Brian Hoyer. So, last week's episode came out before the news that Cam Newton was going to be out for the Chiefs game. So, if you aren't caught up, you should be by now. But if you want to hear it from me, Cam Newton tested positive for COVID this past Friday evening. And was not available for the Chiefs game as it was pushed back a day to Monday night. So what the Patriots did was they started none other than Brian Hoyer, journeyman quarterback, making his sixth or seventh start for a different team. He'd never started for the Patriots before. So the Patriots trusted this man to go and try and bring home the win. What happened from there was abysmal. Brian Hoyer played like straight garbage as he was turnover prone and had no pocket awareness and so Belichick probably played him over Stidham because he wanted good decision making, veteran decision making, not going to get the ball not going to force turnovers, not going to have bad plays, stuff to that degree. And Brian Hoyer looked like a first-year rookie who went undrafted out there. It was absolutely atrocious. I think one of the worst plays was when it was that last play of the first half. You want to either throw it to the end zone, throw it out of bounds. You want to be able to go kick that field goal. And he stayed in the pocket for way too long, did not get rid of the ball, and thought he was Lamar Jackson and trying to scramble, as you can see in the picture that I chose for the screen right here. And he took a sack, and the Patriots went to halftime without being able to get any points while they were well in range of field goal, or while they were well inside field goal range. So Brian Hoyer got benched late into the third quarter, so Jarrett Stidham had to go in and try and salvage what Hoyer did, but it could not be undone as the Patriots fell to the Chiefs. So, with that said, I now give you the Patriots Graveyard, the place where Patriots go to die. And the first member of the Patriots Graveyard is going to be none other than Brian Hoyer for his performance this past week. This isn't going to be a weekly thing unless a Patriots player plays absolutely horrible every single week, which I doubt. But this is the Patriots Graveyard is going to be reserved for a Patriots player who, end up leaving because their career didn't amount to anything with the Patriots. Atrocious play that's not going to get them any chance at playing ever again. So the first member of this graveyard is going to be Brian Hoyer for his performance in 3 quarters against the Chiefs this past week, as he was trusted to be the starter and could not play like a aged veteran, and instead played like a fish out of water. So congratulations, Brian Hoyer, on being the first member of the Patriots Graveyard. So now, getting off of my little Brian Hoyer rant, week 5 against the Denver Broncos. So if they start Brian Hoyer, I think a lot of Patriots fans are going to revolt. So that means Jarrett Stidham, Stid the Kid, Stud him, is probably going to be the starter. I'd give it like a 90% chance, especially so. Right now, the situation is Cam Newton is asymptomatic and has not shown any symptoms of COVID-19. So he's most likely going to miss this week's game against the Denver Broncos due to COVID. So, as well as Stephon Gilmore, who we'll get into in a second. But Jarrett Stidham will be the starter. Jarrett Stidham looked good I won't say he looked great. He did have a couple turnovers. Some weren't his fault. He had 2 interceptions plus one other that could have happened if not for a pass interference by the defense. Another interception bounced right off the hands of Edelman. It was a bad play by Edelman, not to the fault of Jarrett Stidham, but he did have one interception to claim of his own. But he also threw a very beautiful fade touchdown to N'Keal Harry to get the Patriots only touchdown of the game. So Jarrett Stidham going into the season before the Cam Newton signing was the probable starter. That's who a lot of fans were backing behind to be the Tom Brady successor, and then we signed Cam Newton, and everyone jumped on the Cam Newton train and left Jarrett Stidham in the dust. So what I think what's going to happen here is if Jarrett Stidham can perform well, they're most likely going to beat the Broncos defensively. But if Jarrett Stidham can show on offense that he is a good quarterback, then I think that's a good situation for the Patriots going into the next couple years, as Jarrett Stidham's will have 2 more years on his contract at the end of this year. And if he plays well to the point where Belichick deems that he can be the starter, we'll have 2 years to go win a Super Bowl without a quarterback on a massive contract. You can let Cam Newton walk, and you can build an amazing team around Jarrett Stidham for a very cheap price that Bill Belichick has not had in a very, very long time. And that should be scaring so many NFL league executives right now. But if he doesn't perform well, then Cam Newton comes back and finishes off the rest of the season if he can stay healthy. So, as I touched on a little bit earlier, Stephon Gilmore will also be out against the Broncos due to him testing positive for COVID-19 as well. So, I think basing off of a couple different factors, we all knew that there were going to be other cases among the Patriots that were going to pop at some point. The Patriots probably shouldn't have played this game. The NFL should probably put in different measures. Right now, I think the best option would be to shut down the league for 2 weeks, and then let play resume. You're gonna have to push. That'd be good for the Super Bowl because the stadium rented out for up to 2 weeks after, so you get 3 weekends. They'll have 3 weekends of the stadium reserved. So I think if we get to week 8, you take 2 weeks, give everyone a chance to get COVID cases out of their buildings, out of their locker rooms, and then you continue the season at like week 9. I think that'd be a good idea. But anyways, Gilmore will be out. I think what's going to be a big help for the Patriots is that they have one of the deepest secondaries in the league. I think this is going to be a good chance for J.C. Jackson to show off that he can be a full-time starter for the Patriots. As he's very talented and makes great plays. He's one of the highest rated defensive backs from Pro Football Focus over the last couple of years. So I don't think there's going to be any problems defensively against the Broncos, as Cortland Sutton's out for the year. You throw J.C. Jackson on Jerry Jeudy, and then from there you're pretty much all set. So I think it'll be a good showing for J.C. Jackson. And I think the key for this game is going to be, can the Patriots win the turnover battle? Jarrett Stidham is a young quarterback and is probably very turnover prone. You've seen it. You saw it in the one quarter that he played. He had a chance at 3 different turnovers in one quarter. So that's a little scary to see. But they are playing the Broncos, who have Brett Rippon as the starter. So as long as the Patriots can win the turnover battle, it'll look bright for them. So my predictions for this game are going to be Patriots win 24-10. I think Stidham gets a couple touchdowns in there, throws for 2 touchdowns, and I think the defense shows out against a lackluster Broncos offense, as they've dealt with many injuries, and gets 3 different turnovers in this game. I think it's going to be a very good defensive showing for the Patriots. And as always, weekly transactions. So Sony Michel was put on injured reserve with I believe it's a quad injury. I don't think it's severe. I think they're just doing it to manage their different running backs. Because in a corresponding move, they pulled Damian Harris off IR, and he went and ran for 100 yards against the Chiefs. So definitely good seeing that both Michel and Damian Harris are running very well for the Patriots. Another player who was put on injured reserve was safety Cody Davis, who got injured against the Raiders and was put on IR a little bit prior to the game against the Chiefs. And a player that was pulled off of injured reserve before the Chiefs game was wide receiver Gunnar Olszewski. He didn't make a ton of big splash plays. There was one play where Edelman didn't have very good hands against the Chiefs this past week, and there was one play where it was like 3rd and 8, and Brian Hoyer chucked it at Edelman running his normal, middle of the field in routes, and it bounced off Edelman's hands, and Gunnar Olszewski comes running over and picks up the ball right before it hits the ground, and it was a great catch by him. But other than that, not any huge play by him. It was a good game for Damiere Byrd, though, who led the league led the team in receiving. Some practice squad moves included releasing defensive lineman Xavier Williams from the practice squad and signing linebacker Michael Pinkney to the Patriots practice squad. So that is all for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy, please subscribe if you aren't already. Leave a like. It would be very, very appreciated. Let's hope that these COVID cases drop throughout the league so the season can continue and it doesn't have to get postponed. Hope you all have a great rest of the week. And let's go root for them Patriots against the Broncos.